Good morning. How's everyone doing? I'm ready for the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I am. And I have so much grading to do. It's insane. That's terrible, Haley. Annoying, right?
So they were gonna match perfect, but they weren't wide enough. So now I have to go back and return them.
Yuck. How short are they? How much too short are they? Like enough to be annoying? Wait, I can't hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Now I can.
There we go. But yeah, so like my closet's like this big, and then like the curtains are like this big, so it only covers like 3/4 of the closet.
Oh, that's a bummer. Can you put like small different color curtains on the ends? That would look nice, like because you said they match perfect.
I don't know.
You know what I
probably,
mean?
yeah, like I'm probably just gonna return them and see if I can find wider ones.
Yeah. Yeah, curtains are annoying, like to buy. All right, we'll start in just a minute. I'm just going to make sure a couple more people get here. Is my audio cutting out? I see no's from most people, so it might just be yours, but I don't know. Internet's been awful, like always now. I don't know what the deal is, but it's annoying. So it might be mine. All right. So we're going to start in just a sec. I was just answering some chats. Like I said, I know people's internet is problematic, so just let me know if you are having issues. But we're going to do APY today, but we're also going to talk about the final presentation, okay, to get you some more info. Or any info, I should say, right? Okay, so let me start to share my screen. It is a Thunderbird Thursday, so I'm going to remind you of something I've already reminded you of, but some of you need another reminder of registering for spring. Yes? So make sure you register for spring. It's important. By the way, hope you like that. I liked it. So it's really for me, not for you. Just kidding. I hope I get a little smile from some people. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. Nobody else. What do you mean the codes for your English classes? What does that mean? Yeah. Don't you like it? So make sure you register because they're going to start canceling classes because they think you should, if you're currently registered in English 101, are you in 101 right now, Haley? It should let you register for 102 even though you haven't passed yet. Because they usually just kick you out if you're currently registered. Talk to an advisor because it shouldn't work like that. You should be able to register, and then if you don't pass, they'll just kick you out of the class if you don't pass, but you'll pass anyway. So check that out. That's how it works with math, at least, or in the past it has. So yeah, so Alyssa said she could do it. So Haley, try it because it shouldn't work that way. So check that out. But you're currently registered in it right now. Okay. Yeah, so it should work. So check with an advisor and see if they can win that because they're going to start canceling classes due to low enrollment. And then students try to register and there's no classes available. So that's why you should register early. Okay. And if you're changing your program of study, make sure you talk to an advisor so you get in the right classes. You don't want to take classes you don't need. Okay. All right, so that being said, final real quick. It is a presentation. And I have some instructions and a grading rubric. I think December 7th, first date payments due. Does that sound right to anyone? December 7th is the first date payments due. Yeah, we can check on that date. I'll check on it, Jerice, but I'm pretty sure it's December 7th. Jose, they do know you procrastinate, but the problem is they're also on a budget. So they're like, okay, you procrastinate, you just won't have the classes because it's a fine line there, right? Because they have to schedule. Can you imagine scheduling all those sections that we offer at the community college? It's insane. And then they have to have a certain number to break even with students, right? Just so that the class itself isn't costing the college extra money. So it's crazy. Yeah, class registration is probably the one thing you shouldn't procrastinate because that's what you want to get through it. So let's talk about this final project. I have, I'll put links in the chat. This will be on your Canvas course as soon as I get it finalized and finish it. So Haley, are you now enrolled in the wrong class? Oh, well, that should be easy to change, right? Just do your little drop add little thing there. You're good. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat right now, and then I'm going to share with you my screen so we can talk a little bit about the final, and then you can read the assignment on Canvas when it's available. So let me share this screen. Okay. That's not the screen I wanted to share, but super fun. Let's see if I can share this. Okay. Not the one I want to share either. Okay. This is a fun game we're playing. Okay. Here we go. So here are our competencies that we've covered for the class. So if you remember back to statistics, we talked about organizing, analyzing, and displaying data using different types of graphs. We calculated and interpreted measures of central tendency. By the way, measures of central tendency are mean, median, mode. We also talked about dispersion or spread, which was range. We also talked about the standard deviation. Do you remember that? And quartiles. Those are all measures of spread. Calculate and interpret measures of location. Those are percentiles, which relate to the quartiles, and then solve applications using the normal distribution. Do you remember when we did an example of like a blood pressure problem where the guy said his blood pressure was 2.5 standard deviations below the mean or something, and it was not right. So that's an example of an application with the normal distribution. And then when we were in probability, we talked about experimental versus theoretical and apply it to problems. We talked about conditional probability with independent events and dependent events. We talked about calculating the odds in favor or against. And then we talked about combinations and permutations. Now we're in the finance module where we've talked about compound interest and simple interest. We're going to talk about loans and amortizations and annuities. And then we're talking about APY versus APR today. And then real life exponential growth is similar to our interest problems. So those are all the choices that you have to choose from. You're just going to choose one of those items, okay? Then you're going to relate it to your program of study. And you're going to present a slideshow presentation on final presentation day. And I have 2 final presentation days you'll see in just a minute. You're going to teach us like we don't know how to do it. Okay, so you're going to do a little mini lesson on the concept, and then you're going to give us a problem that is through the lens of your program of study. So if you're in nursing, it's going to have to relate to nursing. If you're in journalism, it's going to relate to journalism, and so on. Okay. Of course, we'll check mathematics. It's correct. You're going to present for 5 minutes using the slideshow. You can talk live, or you can record the audio in advance. Right? So you don't have to talk live, that's up to you, but you still have to be here, even if you're not talking live, because you're going to answer questions for 1 minute after your presentation. And your audience is going to get graded on how they are asking questions or if they ask questions. So, and you're going to share your slideshow with me prior to the final exam date. And you're going to share it with the URL, and I have a directions on how to do that. And you have a rubric. Now, you're going to be in your program teams. So people that have the same interests as you can work alone or you can have a partner. So 1 person alone or 2 people, and you'll be graded with the same rubric and you'll be graded individually. But you have to let me know in advance if you're working with a partner. And hopefully you're both in the same program of study. Otherwise you would do 2 problems, right, that relate to each one of your programs of study. And then here's the rubric. So you're graded on your presentation. Did you include everything? And then how are you presenting? And then you're answering questions and your math accuracy. And then attending to precision, make sure your labels are all right there. And then how are you as an audience? So the total is 50 points. I can't remember what part of your grade that is. We'd have to look at my syllabus to remember that. So you're going to be graded on that. The other thing is you will get, and I'll share this in the chat right now. Here is a template for your final presentation, because I know not everybody is familiar with Google Slides or has done a presentation before. with a slideshow, but I just put it in the chat. Now I'll pull it up for you so you can see it. I made a template for you. You can change the theme, the background, the colors. You can do anything you want with that. If you like PowerPoint, that's totally fine. Just make sure you make it in PowerPoint and then change it to Google Slides so I can access it. But you're going to change, the title. You're going to make a title, and then you're going to put your name there. And then I tell you what you're going to do. You're going to have 10 slides total, and I tell you how your slides are, and then you can delete this slide when you're done. But then I explain to you how you can add a page, how you rename a document, how to share it with someone, and then start your slides. So consider an introduction, explain the course competency you choose and how it relates to your program of study. And then I tell you, okay, now you're going to teach the competency, make sure you use correct vocabulary and notation. Now you might need to continue explaining the concept. Then you're going to introduce your application problem. Then you're going to solve your application problem. Then you might have 2 slides for your solution or your interpretation, or 3. So I just gave you a lot, and then you should have a conclusion, the end of your application problem. And then a reflection, what did you learn? And then final thoughts, open to questions and citations if anything you need. So you can change how these look. I just gave you a layout to help you organize and outline your presentation. Okay? So questions for me. Questions about all of that.
And when is this going to be due?
I'm so happy you asked. I'm so happy you asked. I'm going to show you our calendar of what we have left, okay? So, and that'll help you. So, and the reason I'm showing it to you now isn't so you already pick, right? It's just to give you an idea so you can start thinking about it. Hold on one second. All right. Here's our schedule for the rest of the semester. If you look, we are right here on Thursday the 19th, and we're going over APY. That's where we are right now. You can see next week we're doing annuities and payout annuities, and then it's Thanksgiving on the 26th. Then starting the 30th, we're going to do loans, and we're going to review for finance, and then you're going to take your last quiz on December 3rd. Okay. Then that next week, we're going to do a little bit of a dimensional analysis. And then on Wednesday the 9th, you will have the whole class period to work on your project. Okay. So you can ask me questions. You can work with your program team, check each other's math, right? Make sure it looks good. You could practice. And our first set of presentations are on Thursday, December 10th. So I'm going to put some time slots up there. Our class is pretty short, so we won't be able to get through very many presentations on the 10th, but I want to make sure we get through some of them. So then on the 14th, which is the Monday, December 14th, yours are at 11 a.m. from 11 to 12:50. So we have a lot longer on final exam day to get through those presentations. Okay? So any other questions on that? All right, I'm going to put up the rest of the homework. So the homework for all of this, and I'll put up a review. I'm hoping to get that up by tomorrow, and then I'll send you a formula sheet. So I know if you guys want to work ahead, you totally can. Okay. So just so you know, I'll get that up as soon as possible. Now, I want you guys to, everybody okay with, do we have to stay the whole time? I have to be at work by 1. Yeah, I mean, it's your final exam. If you leave, you'll lose audience points. Your final exam is always scheduled for almost 2 hours. So yes, you should stay the whole time. If you don't, then you'll just lose points for that. Okay, but you can look at the rubric and see it's not going to affect your grade terribly, but I know some of you want every single point you can get. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Mason, great question. What if you have a 12 o'clock class? You will not have a 12 o'clock class during finals week at that time because we follow a final exam schedule. So that final exam, it's odd numbers on Monday, it's even numbers on Tuesday. So that 12 o'clock final would be on Tuesday the 15th, not on Monday the 14th. So yeah, they make sure that the classes don't overlap. We all follow this standard schedule. So that last week, finals week, you won't have regular classes. You'll go off the final exam schedule, and some teachers have their final exam the week before and then don't have the final exam during that final exam time. All right, any other questions on the final? I know I gave you a lot of information, but you'll have the weekend to digest that, and then you can start asking me questions on Monday about it, right? Like some ideas you have about it.
So pretty much that presentation is the final exam?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You got it. Yep. So there's no big test or anything. All right. So APY. Before we talk about APY, can you compare simple interest to compound interest? What do you think about simple interest versus compound interest? Does one of them make you more money? What do you think about that?
Compound interest is a lot more complicated.
It is. Well, hence the word, right? Simple. Compound is definitely not simple. But how about money-wise? Would you rather simple interest or compound interest?
Compounded.
Yeah, you definitely would rather compound interest because you're going to make more money in the long run. Now, if you are taking out a loan, you would prefer simple interest, right? Because you'll be charged less, but that's really not the way the world works, right? So just keep that in mind when we're talking about it. You have a new formula today, and it's just one formula. And I don't think the formula is too hard, but I want to make sure I show it to you. I'll put a link to it in the chat in just a second. And then, like I said, I'll give you the second half formula sheet. I'll send you an email afterwards. So if you look at this formula, it looks like this at the very bottom. Oh, hold on. Did I stop sharing my screen? I have a lot of people on the internet today. My kids are home due to possible COVID exposure. So no direct contact, but enough to where I said they can just stay at home. Okay, so this is not going to share. It's trying to share, but it's not going to. That's okay, I'll just share this one. One second. We'll see how this does. All right, can you see my screen again? I hope. All right, so here's the formula down here. Now this formula is, this part right here is what you saw in more probably. 1 plus r over n to the nth power minus 1. And it came from this big formula over here, okay? But I changed it and I added this times 100 on the end of mine. Anyone know why? Anyone know why I changed it to times 100 on the end?
You're making it a percent?
Yeah, I'm trying to save you that extra step that you might forget to change it to a percent. So if you use my formula, you're going to be ready to put your answer in. Okay, you can use the other formula, just don't forget to change it to a percent. So the difference between APY and APR is the annual percentage yield, APY, is the real rate of return you earn on a savings deposit or an investment, taking into account the compounding interest. When they give you APR, they're not telling you how much you're actually being charged. They're just taking into consideration the simple interest. So you have to be really careful when you're looking at things. And if you click on this little link in the coffee cup where it says extra APY versus APR, you can read more about APY versus APR. So let's talk about APY a little bit more. So APR is your yearly rate without compound interest, whereas APY is the real effective annual rate, and it takes into consideration how often the interest is applied to your balance. So the more frequently the interest compounds, the greater the difference will be between APR and APY. So it's really important because some places advertise APR instead of APY, and you need to make sure you're really getting the rate you think you're getting. APR stands for annual percentage rate, and APY stands for annual percentage yield. So the yield is what is actually happening. So, and again, in this little coffee cup, there's another discussion of APY and APR, especially it talks about student loans, which is very helpful for some of you to compare. So the bottom line is, if you're not careful, then you're not comparing the same things. So if you're, for example, if you're looking at some sort of investment or loan and they're one of them is reporting APR and the other one is reporting APY, you're comparing different things. So you need to make sure you compare the same things. So investments are usually in APY, and they do it because they want it to look higher for you. But loans are usually advertised in APR. So like private student loans or student loan refinancing or personal home loans or credit cards, they usually have the APR because it makes it seem like you're not being charged as much. Okay. So if you're not real knowledgeable about it, you can be duped into picking one over the other when you're not really comparing the same thing. So, but now that you have this formula, you can change them into the same thing to compare them equally. So you can say, now I'm going to compare APY to APY instead of having APR of one and APY of the other. Okay. So let's do an example. I'm going to put a handout in the chat for you with an example on it. And then I really hope I get you guys in Teams so you can practice, because we haven't been in Teams in a long time, like 2 days or something. Okay, so pull up that document. Here's the first one. I'll give you a minute to read through it and access that document, since I know it takes a little bit longer. All right, so if we read through this problem, a bank features a savings account that has an annual percentage rate, that's an APR, of 5.1% with interest compounded quarterly. Miranda deposits $3,000 into the account. So part A is what we've been doing, right? How much money will Miranda have in the account in 1 year? So you could use the formula for compound interest, which is A equals P times 1 plus R divided by N to the nth power. Yes? That's your original formula. Or you could use the TVM solver. I don't care. Okay, I'll write my TVM up here. How many of you are using TVM? How many of you like TVM instead of, okay, I see Nathan, Morgan. Is there anyone who likes the formulas better? Oh, Brianna likes it. So Haley, you like the formulas better? Antoinette likes the formulas better. Derek likes the formulas better. Mason, Jose, Caden, Victoria. Yeah, and it's personal preference. How many of you can do either one? You can do both of them. Is there anyone who likes to do it with one and then check it with the other? Jose? Yeah. So that's what I typically do. I do it with my formula and then I do it with the TVM and see if I get the same answer. So that's kind of a good way to keep track of things. Okay, so if we're looking at the formula, our principal is 3,000. Our R is 0.051. Our N is quarterly. What number do I put in when it's quarterly? 4, very nice, thank you. Okay, and then to the 4th power. So you can plug all that into your calculator. Desmos is great if you want to use the Desmos scientific calculator. If you have a graphing calculator, it works great too. These are the only ones that it gets a little bit hard on, right? Just a scientific calculator, but it works. It's just a little more challenging to do it that way. Okay, if you're using the TVM solver, I'm going to pull mine up on my calculator so I can put the numbers in order, for the letters in order. Remember, you hit app, and then you hit finance, and then you hit TVM solver. So the first thing you put is N, and N in this case would be 4 because it's just 4 times 1 because it's 1 year. When you do the I, remember on your TVM, you just put in 5.1. You don't change it to a decimal on the TVM. And then your PV is going to be 3,000. Your payment right now, we're not worried about it. We just leave it at 0. Your FV is what we're finding. So this is what we're solving for. And then your PY should be 1 and your CY should be 1, right? Oh no, sorry, 4. PY and CY should be 4 because it's quarterly. Okay, so try it either way. And then when you're done, get your answer ready perfectly like you had to enter it in more in the chat. Okay, so do that and I'll tell you when to hit enter. Not yet, not yet. Don't hit enter yet. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Look at all of us getting the same answer, almost. There you go. All right. So any questions on how to do that part? That's part you already did, right? So this second part is finding the APY is the new part, right? That's the new thing that we have to look at. And we're going to use that new formula. Now, can you use the TVM solver? You can use the TVM solver, but I'm not sure it's super easy to use. So, and I can put a little video, I'll see if I can put a little video in the chat that will help you if you want to do it that way, okay? But let's look at the formula for APY and write it down. APY equals, sorry, I always write it like that because mathematicians don't like parentheses, parentheses, but your calculator does like parentheses, parentheses. So 1 plus 0.051 divided by, oops, sorry, I was going to write the formula out. I didn't write the formula. I'll go back and write out the formula. 1 plus r over n to the nth power minus 1 times 100. Okay? I should write my answer in here. 3155.95. Okay. So we're going to do 1 plus 0.051 divided by 4 to the 4th power minus 1 times 100. Now, some people find this section a little irritating because your answers are really close to each other. So sometimes it makes you go out to 4 decimal places so you can be sure you can see the difference between them, because sometimes there's not a huge difference between them. So on your calculators, you're just going to plug that in, and then I'll explain to you how you do it on the TVM, and I'll see if I can find that video on the TVM. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I just put a video in the chat for you guys for if you want to do it on the TVM. I'm going to show you in just a second, but you might forget. So that's why we have to do it. Okay. Okay, so let's get our APY answer in the chat. Let's go to 4 decimal places just so we all get the same number in the chat. So 4 decimal places. And remember, it's a percent. So you should have your percent on at the end. All right, so are you ready? Let's do 3, 2, 1, go. It should be real close to the original percent, right? It should be real close, just a little bit larger. So, and if you're going to 4 decimal places, so Joya, it might be a calculator issue. Okay, so we'll talk about the calculator issues in a second, and I'll share my screen so you can see. So it should be 5.1984%. And I'll find my calculator and do it on my Desmos calculator. You got 3s, right? But if you round, you have to follow rounding rules. So I got 1983, and then it was a 6, right? So the 6 after makes it round up. Okay, so let me show you on Desmos so you can see it. And we're never getting in breakout rooms, I'm telling you, because I have to talk too much. I'm so sorry. I'll make sure I plan some breakout room days. So if we put it in our calculators, we're going to use 2 parentheses. Then you're going to say 1 plus 0.051 divided by 4. Oops. And then I'm going to use my exponent key, and I'm going to put a 4 And then I'm going to do -1. And then I'm going to end my parentheses, and then I'm going to put times 100. Whoops. And you see it shows 5.1983, but since I'm rounding to that place value, I look to the 6th. That's really weird, Morgan, because you shouldn't have. What calculator are you using? So your phone might be rounding somewhere on accident. So try to use Desmos. You can use Desmos on your phone too, by the way. Desmos will work on your phone. Yeah, and Rocky said check the settings. I remember Rocky had an issue with the settings the other day. So, and make sure you put in all the numbers correctly, right? 0.051, because that 1 might make the difference. So here's why I'm showing you the Desmos calculator, is if you look at the rest of the problems on the page, they're all find APY. So you know that certain parts of your formula aren't going to change. The 1's not going to change, the -1's not going to change, and the 100 is not going to change. So you can just take your mouse or whatever and go back here and change the percent and change the N. So you can change the N and the R, and it'll give you the new answer right away, like really quickly. So, and you can do it on your calculators as well. If you have a graphing calculator, you can just arrow up and hit enter, and it'll copy that line, right? So, but you just have to make sure then you change what you want, because then you can use your cursor and you can change all those. So if you're using a graphing calculator or the Desmos, you can just go back in and change them really quickly, and it makes it much faster. So if you notice, our original interest rate, our APR was 5.1, but our annual percentage rate, because it's compounding quarterly, is higher than that. It's 5.1984. So that's really good if we're investing things. Okay. All right, so questions about the formula. You can use the TVM solver, and on the TVM solver, what you do, if you watch that video, you can follow along, but you go into your TVM, and instead of solving for the FV, you put in, you make sure your N is 1, and you change your PY and CY to 1, and then you solve for the interest rate, and it'll give you the exact same answer. So if you want to do it on the TVM solver, that video that I put in the chat will walk you through it. I don't like it because it's a two-step process. I'd rather just use the formula for APY. I use the TVM for lots of things, just not this. Okay. So if you look at the next few problems on the worksheet, you'll see that it's all just find APY, find APY, find APY. The one that I really like is question 5. So if you want to look at question 5 and try that one, the reason I like it is because you can see what happens with the number of compounds compared to, interesting question. I want you guys to figure that out. Laura, what do you think? Do you think you pay simple interest for a car loan? Or do you think you pay something else? You guys just started your car project. So APR, so mostly, so APR doesn't tell me if it's simple or not, right? When I hear APR. So most car loans actually do simple interest, but car loans are paid down by amortization. So you pay more in interest at the beginning of your loan than at the end of your loan. And we're going to talk about amortization too. Because have you ever checked that out? Like at the end of your loan, your payoff isn't exactly your last payment. It's usually a different amount. So that's what's happening. So we'll look at amortization tables when we get there. So take a look at number 5 on your paper. Try to do that. Is anyone dying to get in a breakout room just to talk about me for a few minutes? Oh, good. So Rocky, you just paid off your truck and your payoff amount was different, right? Wait, am I supposed to talk mess? Yes, you're supposed to. About me. That's what I said. Isn't that what you're supposed to do right now? Isn't that what you do when you get into breakout rooms? I feel like that's what you're supposed to do. I'm just kidding. Okay, let me see how long it's going to take me to do this. If I could do it faster, I would totally do it every single day, but I'm super slow at it. So try number 5, and maybe I'll get you in your rooms long enough to have a 3-second conversation. And if you finish that one, do another one while you're waiting for me. It was better when I had your colors. I should have made you guys change to the colors first, you know, in the beginning of your name, because it's easier for me to follow. Now nobody has their colors on there or anything. I'm just going to put you in whatever groups I want. Just kidding. Not really. I'm doing whatever I want right now. I wrote them on my whiteboard, and now I can't tell who's in what room. Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, so what you'll really have time to do is compare your answers, right? Okay, go do it really fast. Compare number 5. You can even look at number 6.
Miss, I have a question.
I'm ready, Morgan.
Okay, so are we supposed to work off question 1 for question 5?
No, it just says calculate the APY for an account that pays 6% interest, compounded daily, monthly, and annually.
What's the time then supposed to be? And like the why, or like,
You don't have
You
any
know.
T's in your formula. Remember,
Oh,
your
for real?
formula is just APY equals 1 plus R divided by N to the nth power minus 1 times 100,
okay.
remember?
Yeah.
It's okay. No, we
I
got a lot
didn't
of formulas, so it's hard when we don't give it in the same format. So yeah, we got a lot of different formulas, and I didn't follow my own directions. Go to the 4th decimal place on here, but I did somewhere else. So let me see if did anybody get those answers? Yes, no, maybe. For some reason, I can't see you guys anymore. Now I'm in the wrong slides. Doesn't even matter, right? I don't even know where I am anymore. Okay, here we go. Here I am in the right one. So I changed these. You should, this should have a 1 on the end. This should be 7, 8, and this would just be the same. So here's the idea here. What I was trying to show you through this is the, yeah, good. I'm glad you did it to 4 decimal places. So did you notice the more often it's compounded, the higher the APY? So the number of compounds is what increases it. So if you're doing an investment, like on the last problem on here for the bank, for the investment, you need to calculate your APY and you need to decide if it's an investment, you want the higher APY. So you'd pick bank A over bank B. But if it's a loan, you want a lower APY, right? Because you're being charged interest. So it depends on your application or your perspective. Okay, so the only thing that was in this lesson is calculate the APY and compare. So if you use the Desmos calculator, you can crank out this homework, just so you know, because if you put in your formula once, you'll get it right on all the rest of them. Okay, so just your homework. Don't worry about the exit ticket. Your homework is PF6 practice, and then your mini lesson is due by Sunday for PF7. Okay, so you don't have to do the exit ticket. Just make sure you know what your homework is. Okay, so any questions for me? I know that our time goes so fast in this class. I need a 75-minute class instead of a 50-minute class. You're like, nope, 50 minutes is plenty of you. So, so that's it. If you want to come see me anytime or send me a message, please do. Otherwise, have a great weekend. We're on our way to the end, to our final. I'll stay on here for a couple minutes if you need it. But see you later. Have a great weekend. You're welcome. See you later. Bye, Haley. I hope it gets better. Yes, for sure, Brianna. All formulas. You'll get a big formula sheet with them all together. Like you'll be able to access it electronically. I'm giving it to you in little pieces right now because if I gave you the whole sheet in the beginning, you would start crying. So I'm just giving you little pieces, and then I'm going to send you the second half, like probably tomorrow. And then I did open up those for you, by the way, in case you checked earlier.